Hello out there. I'm Geronimo, and welcome back to GregTech New Horizons. Apologies for the long wait. Had another round of computer problems, but we're back and better than ever, and things are about to escalate. Significantly. If you're as pumped as I am, subscribe, and don't forget to comment your lore ideas, especially after this one. Last time out, centralized power became a reality. The Lapatronic supercapacitor is full, the extreme combustion generators are working great, and we're ready to put this juice to use. We also added to the city skyline with a couple of new builds, which is convenient because we need plenty of space for the next set of projects. All the crafting it took to bring those generators online really put a hurting on our resource supply. The combs have been working out great, but processing them by hand needs to become a relic of a bygone era. It's finally time to automate passive resources, for real. To process combs, we need to get all the acids, and to make all the acids, we need to process combs. So here's the plan. We electrolyze distilled water for hydrogen and oxygen, centrifuge phosphorus combs and make phosphoric acid, centrifuge salt combs and make hydrochloric acid, use the hydrochloric acid to process cryolite combs and make hydrofluoric acid, use the hydrofluoric acid to process chrome combs and make phthalic acid. Easy enough. Oh, and we'll need to figure out storage for the byproduct items and ultimately for all the comb outputs too. One problem at a time, right? Are you ready for progress? Alright, we're nearly there. There are a couple of machines missing, but I think it's time to plan for powering this stuff. We're going to have a mix of voltages down here, so we're transforming from the main power spawn running at LUV, and all the cables should end up right under the entry hatches. We'll do the whole thing in superconductor wire, so no EU loss is a perk. But the main reason is that they carry a ton of amps, even on the smallest wire, which will hopefully leave room to fit all the applied energistics connections too. Superconductor wire is pretty expensive, especially since we're not flush with platinum just yet. But if we can keep this nice and neat and efficient on amps, it'll be totally worth it. Not a completed work just yet, but this is actually the first draw from the centralized power. It works! Nice. Now it's a little more clear where we need to put the rest of the machines to make amps and applied energistics connections work. So we'll have the hydrogen set up right here in the center. Since this is the last input item needed to start making acids, it's time for some logistics. We've got a P2P here from the main net, so our little subnetwork here can access comb storage. And we'll borrow power too. And now if we stick some P2Ps on this controller, we can pass the network channels around the building. Describing what's going on starts to get a little complicated with so many networks and subnetworks. The easy way to explain it is that the main network is for auto-crafting machines, and everything else will have its own subnetwork. This one will need to grow pretty soon too, but this will get us going. We'll also be introducing two new hatches for this system, the stocking input bus and the ME output bus. Both are great for convenient management of input and output items, plus they really help with lag. After adding an item to the filter, any item that appears on the network will immediately be visible to the hatch. The output bus works the same way, just in reverse. Come on, auto-crafting. And here's the completed system. If we just give power to these lines holding the P2Ps, we're in business. There it is. The first acid. Hydrochloric is a go. What do you think, Day Dear? Looking good, huh? And here comes the hydrofluoric. Excellent. And always partition. No funny business allowed. Phthalic acid. Liquid gold for us at this point. And a bit of a line to make it too. And finally, phosphoric acid to complete the set. Partitioned, of course. Let's take a tour. All the combs are caught up, so it's not running constantly now. But we'll start over here with the non-comb inputs. Here we have a centrifuge, mostly for oxygen. Then another for salt combs and phosphorus combs. And the salt goes right into the electrolyzer next door to turn into chlorine, and all the other byproducts get stored. Then we have a distillation tower feeding another electrolyzer, this time for hydrogen and some bonus oxygen. And lastly, a chemical reactor combining methane and benzene for 1,2-dimethylbenzene, an input for phthalic acid. Both methane and benzene come from the Hog facility in huge amounts, which is super nice. And now we get to the acids themselves, mostly LCRs as you can see. And first up, we have chlorine and hydrogen being combined for hydrochloric acid, which we immediately use to process cryolite combs, which get four-chambered and washed, then electrolyzed for fluorine. The fluorine gets turned into hydrofluoric acid in the next one over. Same setup as for cryolite, but this time for chrome combs using the hydrofluoric acid. And the chrome gets mixed with oxygen a couple times, then reacted with saltpeter, which also comes from the godly salt comb, and we can finally mix that with dimethylbenzene for phthalic acid. And last but not least, the phosphorus and hydrogen mixing for phosphoric acid. And there it is. We're ready for passive resources.
You haven't forgotten me, have you, traveler? Your destiny awaits. Present yourself at once. I have begun to doubt your commitment, leave you waiting at your own peril. The time has come. The power you've shown is sufficient for the task at hand, but painfully insignificant compared to what's to come. You shall see soon enough. For now, take these blueprints for a device. It's of my own design. It will help you crack the tree. Go now. Do my bidding.
Yes, sir? I'm not sure if I like our dynamic, Danny boy, but I'll build your device. Well, here it is. Looks kinda necky? I don't know. My spidey sense is tingling, but hey, power is power, am I right? Here we go.
Fool. Mother Gaia is wounded. Your soul is forfeit mortal. The goddess Nemesis has devised a curse. Your power will slip through your fingers like the
Nothing to see here. Moving on. Since we're about to start using large quantities of acids, I made a few changes to the alvearies. Some of the old drones that were outpaced by newer ones have been retired and replaced with extra cryolite drones and extra steel drones. We just can't seem to stay in supply of steel, and this is only the beginning of the reconfiguration. We may need to completely rethink the B area coming up soon. I also spent some time and cleaned up the service corridor here. Now that we've got a main power spawn, to make future upgrades as painless as possible, it helps to have clean, open basements. We're suddenly having a major problem though. Antinoc is not keeping up with the rate Hog is being produced. This is DEFCON 1. I really don't know what happened. It's been fine running 100 inefficient single block combustion generators, but the second we switch to the big ones and consolidate power, it's hosed. Absolutely nothing changed, I swear. To help with that, we're gonna add a second distillation tower for severely steam-cracked heavy fuel, our current source of butane, the bottleneck for Antinoc, and upgrade both of these to EV. The problem with that is, now we're using even more fuel to make fuel. It's time for a major rewiring. We need to have maximum efficiency, and we need it now. Passive resources would sure be nice, but right now we're having trouble keeping the lights on. Optimal efficiency doesn't come cheap, but luckily, even though the resources aren't passive yet, acids are. So with a bit of processing, we can get everything we need. Man, sure is nice to have a clean basement. I rarely do this, to be honest. And if we can clean up the hog wiring as nice as this, that'll be a huge win. Let's see what we've got. This could take a while. Okay, I thought I was done, but I'm having nothing but trouble here. I've counted and recounted to make sure the amps are right, but these machines just don't want to stay on. Am I cursed or something? I can't figure it out. Something's definitely wrong, but there's also definitely enough power coming into this building. What in the world? More power. It's the only way. All right, I think we've stabilized. Machines are staying on. But in the meantime, the situation with Antinoc has gotten even worse. We're close to reaching critical mass. That was 40 single block combustion generators, but it feels like a drop in the bucket right now. There are quite a few single block generators in the auto crafting building, but they only run when I'm crafting something. This guy is the next target. Every machine in there runs full time at EV. If we convert this to centralized power, we'll see some nice efficiency gain. Here's hoping that's enough. And after the small investment of all of our remaining platinum, we're wiring up. I rationalize this by telling myself I don't have to dye the cables. Agree with me. Silver linings, we're saving future time waiting on quartz rods. This is good. This is bad. We've still got machines shutting down for power loss. I am legitimately stumped. Something is up. And it's not the direction of this transformation. This would be a problem. Honestly, I'm amazed this hasn't caused an even more catastrophic failure. I did not leave this like that. I am being pumped. Thanks, Christian, for helping me figure that out. Crisis averted. Now, after that gigantic detour, we can pick up where we left off. Time for cone processing. Are you ready for progress? That's what I'm talking about. Passive resources complete, and plenty of room to scale. This stuff is pretty straightforward compared to some of the other setups, even the acids. We've got an LCR for each acid, another forge hammer washer setup for the things we don't need byproducts from, a macerator centrifuge combo for the things we do, and a sifter for what's left. Other than the stocking input bus, the only trick is using a chest to buffer input items. Putting a storage bus on it makes the chest the only possible destination for specific purified ore, so we can choose what happens to it instead of processing it all the same way. The ore dictionary filter was just a little too cumbersome. Now, with all that done, what do you say we check back in with Halfdan? I think it's high time for a reward. This tree looks pretty scuffed.
You have done well. The seal is weakened enough to open the door.
Heck yeah, let's see what you got for me, Danny boy.
The meager sons of power you have mustered may have been enough to weaken the tree, but you have much to learn.
What the? There's nothing here! Halfdan, explain yourself!
I give you the gift of opportunity to master metal and master yourself. Long ago, we practiced an ancient metallurgy in these halls.
But there's no fire, no forge, no furnace. How am I supposed to work metal in a cold crypt?
The device may have other uses. Palladium, rhodium, iridium, master metal, and master yourself. Go.
Well, I'm not sure I'd call that a reward, but those were some fancy sounding metals. Sounds like we got plenty to do for next time. And hey, stay positive out there.